Welcome, everyone. Let's start with the question. What type person do you picture when I say Asian American? What type character comes to mind when you see an Asian American on TV? Today, Marie Angelis and I are presenting a 1997 paper by Taylor and Stern. Their core question is incredibly relevant right now. How does TV advertising portray Asian Americans, and does it rely on the restrictive model minority stereotype? We'll break down the myth, look at the author's findings from the 1990s, and discuss why these issues of representation still matter in our current digital landscape. So, who are Asian Americans and why do advertisers care? Think about how you pictured an Asian American. There may be a reason you have that picture, and television advertising may have helped create it. Asian Americans are a growth market, the fastest growing and most affluent segment in the US. Their affluence, high education, and work ethic position them as a model minority. Sounds great, but the authors help us dive deeper into the effects of the model minority label. First, let's define the stereotype of model minority. The model minority stereotype paints Asian Americans as universally high achieving, often in STEM fields or academia. While it sounds positive, it's a trap. It pits groups against each other, hides huge economic and ethnic diversity within the community, and creates unrealistic pressures. The core thesis of this paper we are reviewing is that TV advertising reinforces this restrictive, one-dimensional view. Taylor and Stern set out to answer two main things: how visible are Asian Americans in network TV ads, and, more importantly, what kinds of roles are they given? They used a content analysis, which means they systematically watched and categorized thousands of national primetime commercials to see exactly who was on screen, what they were doing, and if they were talking. The first major finding confirmed overrepresentation. Even in the 1990s, Asian Americans were a growing demographic. While they made up only 3.6% of the US population, they appeared in 8.4% of the commercials. But while they were overrepresented, they remained invisible. The researchers found that Asian Americans were overwhelmingly relegated to the background. They were often non-speaking, passive, and served as mere set dressing, rather than active characters driving the commercial's plot. When they did have discernible roles, they fell into two narrow categories that confirmed the stereotype. First, the technical whiz, doctors, engineers, or people involved with computers. This directly reinforces the model minority success narrative. Second, perpetual foreigner, the roles emphasizing exotic culture or recent immigration, effectively marking them as other and not fully American. It's the exclusion that is telling. They were rarely shown as average consumers, blue-collar workers, or romantic partners. They were defined by their job title, not their humanity. This narrow focus restricts what the public believes Asian Americans are capable of or interested in. So why should advertisers and media producers care about these findings? First, the stereotype is damaging. Because TV viewing of advertisements is a passive and low involvement activity, meaning TV advertisement fosters the uncritical acceptance of these limited portrayals. It creates psychological pressure on young people to conform to an impossible standard. It also contributes to intergroup tension by incorrectly suggesting that all barriers to success have been overcome. For advertisers, it's simply bad business. You're alienating a large, economically powerful segment of the consumer market by refusing to acknowledge their authentic reality. The authors argue that advertisers suffered from a huge blind spot. They treated Asian Americans as a specialized technical niche rather than a diverse group of mainstream consumers. The ethical and practical recommendation is clear. Cast Asian Americans in authentic, fully integrated roles that reflect the true diversity of their lives and experiences. The digital landscape creates a new forum for changing representation of Asian Americans in advertising. Targeted ads and streaming platforms have the power to promote these stereotypes across an infinite number of screens, or to change the narrative to a more inclusive one. For marketers, this presents an important opportunity. By portraying Asian Americans in authentic and multidimensional ways, beyond stereotypes of success and work, brands can build deeper and more genuine connections with this fast-growing and influential community. Has that image you had in your mind of an Asian American changed? The authors hope it will, through more authentic representation of Asian Americans in advertising. Thank you.